Thank you very much, and good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you. My name is Ron Kaufman. I am a person who has been referred to many times as a man on a mission. I am genuinely committed to uplifting the quality of practice of service and the spirit of service everywhere in the world, including with you today here in Switzerland. It's a pleasure to be with you. You're going to need a partner for today's program. You cannot do this program alone. You have to have another person that you can speak with during the presentation. So I'm going to make it easy for you. Would you please take your hands and simply rub them together? Rub. Clap twice. Hands up. When I say go, you either turn to the right or to the left. Say to the person next to you, please be my partner. Ready? Go. Very good. You're good? Yeah. Now I'm going to check. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, and you go like this. Ta-da! Show me your partner. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Go. So a few people had a problem. They went, hoo-hoo! And the people, that's all right. It's okay. You can have a group of 3. But please don't leave anyone alone, because you're going to need to answer some questions. And here is the first question for you and your partner. It's a very straightforward question. Who do you serve? Now, some of you will say, well, of course, we serve our customers. Some will say we serve our clients. Some will say we serve our account holders, or our passengers, or our guests, or our patients, or our members. Some of you will say, well, actually, I serve my colleagues inside the organization. Some will say I serve my boss. Some will say I serve my staff. How do you answer that question? Please turn to your partner. You have about 30 seconds together. Who do you serve? Go. Very good. Come on back. Come on back. Very good. Second question. Second question is, who serves you? Who do you count on to give you good service so in turn you can serve someone else? You may say it's another department, IT, it could be HR, it could be your suppliers, your distributors, your partner, your channel. Turn to your partner once again, please. Who serves you? Go. Fantastic. Very good. Very good. Come on back. Come on back. Can I just see a quick show of hands? How many of you feel like at this point you got a good partner? If you got a good partner, please raise your hand. Yeah. If the one next to you does not raise... Now, you can tell from my voice I was born in the United States. But I have been living in the country of Singapore now for the past 23 years. The government of Singapore invited me to go there to help raise the service standards in the whole nation. Because at the end of the 1980s, they could see very clearly that all the manufacturing was leaving Singapore and it was all going to China. And all the back office processing and the call centers were leaving Singapore and they were going to India. So what was going to be left in Singapore was going to be a future based not on manufacturing, not based on low-cost labor, but based on services. And today, Singapore is known for financial services, medical services, convention and hospitality services, medical services, educational services. The whole country has become a center of services. But 20 years ago, the people had not been educated to understand what does it mean to be in service to someone else. They had been trained to go to work in factories. Now, there was one iconic institution in Singapore that had established a fabulous reputation for service. It was Singapore Airlines. Now, have any of you ever flown on Singapore Airlines? Did you have a nice experience? Yeah, they're known for that. Who makes this aircraft? Airbus. Who can buy this aircraft? Anyone who has the revenue, the money, can buy the same aircraft. So Singapore Airlines has not differentiated based upon the quality of the airplanes, or the airports, or the travel agents, or the website. They have built a reputation where they're known worldwide for their service. And they have an icon. They call it the Singapore Girl. Now, I've been working with this airline since I had hair. That's not funny. And I know some of their secrets. Huh? At the present moment, being with you here today in Lucerne, I am on a 35-city trip over the course of 45 days, including twice around the world. Yesterday, I was in Chicago, and there was a massive snowstorm. And 11,000 flights were canceled by all the American airlines, most of the international airlines. But you know, it was an amazing thing. I sat there, I was worried, how am I going to get to Zurich? What am I going to do? And there was one aircraft that was not canceled. There was one airline that flew an aircraft into the storm and landed in Chicago and left on time. And what airline do you think that was? Give yourselves a nice clap. If it wasn't for you, I would not be here. Now, this is an image of Changi International Airport. It's the #1 rated airport in the world. It has the most awards of any. It's a very interesting place. 50 million movements through the airport every year. 29,000 people come to work. But only 1,300 actually work for the airport company. Everyone else works for the police, customs, immigration, airlines, food and beverage, retail, banks, hospitals. Now, what makes this interesting is if you are in the airport and you're lost, you're looking for something, you need help. Who will you ask for help in an airport? Think. You're in an airport, you're lost. Who will you ask for help? Turn to your partner, 10 seconds, go. Okay, tell me, yell it out. Who? Who will you ask? So, yeah, some of you are saying, I will find the customer service counter. But the rest of you are saying, I will ask anybody who's wearing and you don't care which uniform it is. So the police need to know where are all the gates. The people at the gates need to know where's the bank. The people at the bank need to know where's the post office. They needed to build a culture of service where every single person who works in that airport is committed to the overall customer experience, not only the experience when you're at my counter. They have what I call an aligned culture. Every single person knows what they're doing and why they're doing it. Many companies don't have that. It's more like this. The boss says this, but we pay for that. The marketing says this, but operations says that. Now, I have a very quick question for you and your partner. Where is your organization today? If I ask the people who work at the front line of your company, would they say, oh, we all know where we're going and what we're doing and why, and we're heading for a great future? Or would they say, it depends on who you talk to? Turn to your partner and be honest. Where is your company's culture today? Go. Okay, good. Come on back. So let's do a test. Let's do a test with you and your partner right now. I'm going to ask you a very simple question. This question is this. What is service? And what I'm going to ask you to do is this. You will turn to your partner And at the same time, you will share with each other your definition of service. So I'll say, ready, go, and you say, service is, and you tell them word for word, what is your definition of service? Ready? Turn to your partner, go. Service is... Okay, come on back, come on back. How many of you found that you and your partner actually said to each other the exact same definition, the same words? A few hands. How many of you meant the same thing, but you just used different words? Yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem for the people who work in your organization. Because if you say, give the customer what they need, and someone else says, no, give them what they want. Then someone else says, no, give them what they don't know they want, but they really need. You say, meet customer expectations. Someone else says, no, we should exceed customer. This is confusing. So I'm going to propose a definition that I've been introducing all around the world, and it seems to make sense in many places. Perhaps it will also make sense here for you. Would you agree that service requires that someone do something for someone else? Yes or no? Yeah. Service is taking action. So service is taking action to do what? Answer a question, fill an order, deliver a product, teach someone how. It's to do something that someone else will want, need, prefer, or value. So service is taking action to create some value for someone else, unless it's self-service. If it's self-service, then you take action to take care of yourself. But let's check. Would you just say this out loud with me, please? Here we go. Service is taking action to create some value for... Does this definition apply to your job? Think for a moment. Many people say, my job is doing this process, following this procedure, completing this checklist. But is the purpose of the procedure, the process, or the checklist actually to create some value for someone else? Please talk to your partner. Does this definition apply to you? Go. Very good. Come on back. Come on back. Does this apply to your job? Yes or no? Yeah. In fact, it accurately describes what almost everybody does who goes to work inside your organization every day. But they may not see it that way unless you explain it to them. Now, if that's what service is, what is service excellence? What is a service culture? And how are these two related to each other? They're not the same thing. But there's definitely a relationship. Talk to your partner, please. What is the relationship between excellent service and service culture? Go. Very good. 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 Come on back. Is it possible to have someone who works in your company who is a hero, who goes the extra mile, who does the extraordinary, who delivers excellent service, even if the culture of the organization is not very good? Is it possible? Yes. Is it sustainable? No. If you want to develop a reputation for great service, where your brand stands for great service, then you need to build a culture where everybody understands, how do we give great service? To each other as well as to our customers. Now, there are 5 reasons to work on this. And you and your partner will discuss for a moment which is most critical for you right now. In some cases, it's a competitive issue. If you don't do it and your competition does, you're going to lose. In some cases, your customers have expectations that are escalating very quickly. Some of you are concerned about the internal service performance between departments or divisions. Some of you just want to charge a higher premium. That's the Singapore Airlines story. Same aircraft, same schedule, same champagne, same movie, higher ticket price. And some of you are concerned for customer loyalty. You want people to not only come back, but to recommend and refer. Turn to your partner, please. Which of these 5 is of top concern for you today? There is no wrong answer to this question. Talk to your partner. Go. Good. Very good. How many of you chose competitive necessity? Raise your hand. How many chose rising expectations? Good. Team performance. Increased profitability. Customer loyalty. Excellent. You're all correct. Now, this leads us to the big question. How do you actually do this? How do you build an uplifting service culture? And this is what I've been working on for 25 years. How did Ritz-Carlton do it? How did Amazon.com do it? How does American Express do it? How did Apple do it? How did the iconic Singapore Airlines of the world actually build it? And the good news is they're using a plan. There is an architecture that you can actually follow. This goes back to Petra. This goes all the way back to Greece. A shape that was designed to influence human behavior. I adopted the same to explain. There is a foundation that is essential, which unfortunately is not being taught in our schools. I call it service education. We'll spend some time on that today. There's leadership. It's your job at the top. How do you actually guide the organization? And then there's a very interesting area called building blocks, which I'll point to. And then at a website, you can find free videos and articles about all 12 of those blocks. But let's start at the foundation. Notice that I use the words actionable service education, not the word customer service training. What is the difference between education and training? Please talk to your partner. Very good. Come on back. Excellent. Good. Good. I can see in your head. Right. You train someone what to do in a certain situation, in a certain way. When it's important, they do it the right way. But you teach someone how to, so they can figure out what to do. If you have children, do you want them only to be well trained? Or also be well, I'm in Switzerland, I should stop on that one. Huh? You also want them to be well educated, yes? Because in the course of their lives, they're going to encounter situations that you and I cannot even imagine. And we want them to be able to think and apply good principles and figure out what's the right thing to do. The problem is they're not being taught the fundamental principles of service, some of which I'll show you this morning. Now, training is important. Safety, security, accuracy. When this fellow takes off, I do not want him to do creative thinking. Especially if something goes wrong, I want him to be well trained what to do. That's why no one died. Because the pilot and the co-pilot had been trained in the simulator what to do in case of loss of power in both engines. If this guy ever goes in, you do not want him to think out of the box. But in business, we need people who can think out of the box. We want people who will come up with new ideas for the future. We need staff members who can make good decisions without escalating everything to you. And what I've discovered is that you can get people to understand this if they have a chance to work on it with other people. Not only read it in a book, not just do it online, but actually converse about it with others, like you're doing with your partner today. So let me show you a fundamental service principle. It's called the 6 levels of service, and we're going to start low. Down near the bottom is the word basic. What does that word mean? Please turn to your partner. What is your definition of the word basic? Go. Come. Basic is what? Beginning, fundamental, the minimum. So to me, basic is the bare minimum. I'm sure you travel. I travel a lot. Have you ever been in a taxi? Have you ever been in a taxi that smells bad? Yeah, with a driver who's in a bad mood, and he's a bad driver. Did you like it? No. Did he get you to the hotel? Yes. So what level of service did you get? Basic. Here's how to say it. Basic. Try it with me. Here we go. One time. 1, 2, 3. Basic. How do you feel? Just hearing it. So that's not where we want to be. Let's take one step up. Now, above basic is average, normal, standard. The word I use is expected. So if you get in the taxi and you tell the driver where you want to go, do you expect that he knows how to get there? You do, right? Have you ever had the situation when he says, where do you want to go? You tell him, he says, where's that? The moment he says, where's that, where does your mood go? Up or down? He could go the long way. He could go the wrong way. Eventually, he gets you where you want to go. So he meets the basic. But it's not what you expected. Now, here's how to say expected. Would everybody please cross your arms? Just cross your arms over your chest. Now, take the sound of your voice and move it up in your nose. So it goes like this. Expected. Well, you did that very well. By the way, what is the traditional definition of customer satisfaction? Meeting customer expectations. But notice how low that is on the scale. That old definition of CSAT, customer satisfaction, has become obsolete. If we take another step up, we get to a level I call desired. This is what people hope for. It's what they prefer. So have you ever been in a taxi driver where the driver asked you what kind of music you would like to listen to? Check to make sure that you were comfortable with the air conditioning or the heating. And you say, that's what I like. That's what I desire. Now this one's a little tricky. You have to move your shoulders for this. It's the morning exercise. Everyone like this, please. Here we go. What's the matter? Your shoulders broken? Come. Everybody, here we go. One time. Here we go. Now you add the sound like this. Desired. Here you go. 1, 2, 3, go. Desired. Very good. Tell your partner how well he did that. Let's do these 3 together. Down low. Here we go. Starting at the base, it's basic. Cross your arms. Expect. Shoulders. Desire. What is higher than desired? Is when you do something for someone unexpected and they like it. So it's like getting a gift and you go, ooh, what a nice surprise. Let's check something. Has anyone ever given you a gift? Bought it, wrapped it up, brought it to the party, you open, ooh, it really was a surprise. Yes? Yes? My wife 2 Christmases ago, she bought me a cappuccino maker. I didn't expect it. It was big. It was heavy. I opened, woo! What a nice surprise. Has anyone ever bought you a gift, wrapped it up and brought it to the party, and when you opened it and you saw what it was, you couldn't help yourself. Your body went like, and then you pretended to be surprised, to be, oh, how nice, how nice. What is the difference between those two situations? What was it over here that produced surprise? And over here, the intention of the person who bought you the gift in both cases was to surprise you. In one case it worked, in one case it failed. Why? Talk to your partner. What was the difference in those two situations? Go.
See the leaves on the trees, smell the grass.
Good. Come on back. Come on back. Let's look. What was the difference? Over here, they got you something that you... If it's something that you want, at most it would be desired. If they got you something you expect, that would be expected. They had to get you something that you value, but you did not expect. Which means they had to understand what you value and then put some creative thinking into you and come up with something that you had not. Over here, what happened? Maybe they got you something they value. Has that ever happened? I love it. You will too. No. Or in today's world, maybe they did something for you that you used to value, but your needs and interests have changed and they're not staying current with you. So there they are taking action to try to create value, but it's not what you value. What do you call that kind of action? It's called waste. Now, the way you say this one is with both hands, like I gave you a gift. Go, surprising. Try it. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Surprising. What is higher than surprising? Astonishing. Extraordinary. Incredible. I call it And the way you say it is with both. Oh, don't even try. Never mind. But let's go low. What is below basic? Yeah, it's terrible. It's horrible. It's unacceptable. It's so bad down there, I don't mean break the law, but I do mean you violate minimum expectations. Like your marketing says, ta-da, but your delivery, da-da. You say I'll be, then you don't. And the way you say this one is you put your hands together like handcuffs. Here we go. You don't want to do that, I can see. And say, criminal. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Criminal. One step up. Basic. Cross your arms. And smack. Shoulders. Desire. Hands. Surprising. Fast. Come on a spree. I see this whole row going, unbelievable. That's a basic unbelievable. Give me one Swiss unbelievable. 1, 2, 3. Unbelievable. And how is the service in your company? I admire your enthusiasm. Now let's get real. If I showed this to your customers, if I showed this to your colleagues, what would they say about the service inside your organization today? Please turn to your partner. Honestly, where is your service today on the 6 levels of service? Go. like it. Come on back. Come on back. The Swiss are very well known for excellence. You're admired all over the world for excellence. Where is excellence on the 6 levels of service? Excellence is not one of the words, but I'm asking you, where would you put it? Talk to your partner, please. Where is excellence on the 6 levels? Go. All right, come on back. Come on back. Some of you are saying it's unbelievable. Some are saying it's above expected. She said surprising. He said desire. Whoa, 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 whoa. Why is it difficult for us to simply say excellence? It's there. Instead of there. It's difficult because the 6 levels of service are not stairs. This is an escalator, and it's always going down. And what I mean by that is you'll come up with something new, but it's only new the first time. Then it's not new, it's nice. Then nice becomes normal. Then normal becomes no big deal. And people then ask, what's next? What's new? Remember that? Now, today we laugh. But when it first came out, it was, today, basic. So back to our 6 levels. Where is excellence on the 6 levels of service if the stairs keep slipping down? Talk to your partner again. Go. Very good. Very good. Come on back. Yeah, I like it. She's going, Excellence in today's world has become a moving target. There's only one way to be excellent in that world. You've got to keep stepping up. Aha. Maybe now for the first time we can define service excellence. Do you remember the definition for service? Service is taking action to create value for someone else. Excellence is the next step up. Service excellence is taking the next step up to create more value for someone else. And a service excellence culture is where every single person understands that and comes to work saying, that's my job today. Not, my job is just to do what I'm told or follow the procedure. No, my job is to create value for someone else and look for ways to create more value. Now, I want you to apply this to your job. What would be an example of you doing one thing better than you normally do? And by better, what I mean is that someone else would say, wow, I appreciate that. Oh, that's nice. Gosh, you've never done that for me before. Hey, that's the kind of boss I like to work for. Boy, am I glad I'm your customer. Talk to your partner. What would be one action you could take that you don't normally take, but somebody else would value it if you did? Talk to your partner. Go. Very good. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'll go back. By the way, this one fundamental service principle you can bring to your organization and have your team work on it all day, not just work on it for 10 minutes. Here's another fundamental service principle. It says that service is delivered in a sequence. There's a natural beginning, a middle, and an end. So Suzanne Ville's story, for example, about her phone, it actually started the first time the phone didn't work. And she had to figure out, where do I take it? What do I do? How do they communicate with me? How do I get my phone? Until finally she had her phone. Each step along the way, you are evaluated on the 6 levels of service. People form an opinion about your website, about your front door, about your telephone, about your product, about your pricing. I'll give you an example. Have you ever called a restaurant to make a reservation for dinner? Yes? Yes. Have you ever called and the way they handled the call was not very nice? What did you do? You hung up and you called someplace else. Now let's look at that. That means that the very first perception point in the service transaction called going to dinner must have been delivered below what you expected. So instead of creating value, for some reason, they actually destroyed value. Maybe they made you wait too long. Maybe they didn't care that it was your mother's birthday. Maybe they didn't know what was on the menu. But they created some experience for you in that one call that resulted in you saying, I'm not going to the restaurant. The chef, the waiter, the cook, the busboy, the hostess, everyone else who works at the restaurant, they don't even know it happened. Which means what? Every single person at that restaurant is depending on every other person who works there to deliver their perception points at least at the level of expected. Because if you deliver your point below expected, you don't create value, you destroy value, and that could hurt all of us. Now, how many negative perception points, bad moments, do there need to be at a restaurant to mess up your dinner? One rude waiter. One chipped plate that's put in front of your mother. One dirty bathroom. One mistake on the bill where they overcharged you. One. That's the bad news. Here's the good news. How many points at a restaurant need to be surprising to make it a very nice dinner? If everything else is expected, but the waiter is fabulous, is it a nice dinner? If the music is great, is it a nice dinner? That's the good news. It only takes 1 point. Now, you can use these two together, like Changi Airport, to become the best in your industry. Changi Airport looks at every single complaint, and they say, where did it happen? How do we step up and improve at that particular point? So they have a critical transaction. They want to be known as the friendliest. Friendly. That's not easy in Singapore. Singaporeans are not naturally friendly. I guess, are Swiss natural? Never mind. But the Singaporeans are pragmatic. They are analytical. So they've taken this framework and said, we have a critical transaction. It starts when the aircraft door opens, and it ends when the taxi door closes. And in between, you step out of the aircraft into the aero bridge. And don't you notice whether it's dry or wet, hot or cold, clean or dirty? Don't you already start to evaluate the city that you flew into based on that 1 point? And then you go to the arrivals area, and then you go to immigration, and then you go to customs, and then you go to bag, and then you go to the taxi line. 1 point kept getting a low score in the category called friendly. It's not their job to be friendly. Their job is to check you out. But Changi Airport doesn't want to have any perception point that is below what people expect. So they came up with a solution. They asked the immigration officers to be more friendly and say this: "Welcome to the Republic of Singapore. We hope you had a very nice flight. We're very happy that you're here. May I see your passport, please?" Do you know what the immigration officers thought of that script? Didn't work. So they came up with another idea. On every single immigration counter, they put a box of breath mints, candies, and they changed the script to 2 words. So now you walk up. First word, passport. You hand it over. Second word, sweet. And just like that, the friendly scores went up. Changi Airport, you know people still bring things to the airport you can't bring, like Swiss Army knife? They forget that it's in their bag. But now at Changi Airport, you can mail it home or mail it ahead. That's right next to the security counter where they take it away. Now you can mail it away. They installed a 4-story slide inside the airport so that your kids can go up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down before the next flight. So they get tired. What do they do on the next flight? Sleep. Who values that? Everybody. They installed a butterfly garden. Now, I'm sure at some point in your life you've had a butterfly land on you. Yes? Wasn't it a magical moment? But was anybody right there with a camera? Probably not. Changi Airport, just go there and stand still. The butterflies will come and land on you. How do they, what drives them? Do you think a passenger wrote to them one day and said, "Please install a slide? Please have butterflies for..." No, it's your experience that drives them, that makes them want to continually improve at each point. And they know that they cannot stop because the stairs are always slipping down. Now, the same model is not just for business to consumer. It's not just watches. It's not just personal consumer banking. It's not just taxis and airports and restaurants. This is the world's largest oil and chemical storage company. They took the same model and they mapped out what happens when a customer comes to visit us. Look how many points they found. And then for every point, they said what would be criminal, basic, expected, desired, surprising, or unbelievable. Then they did the same thing for when they go to visit their customers. And again, for when they're getting new business. They did it again for the core business itself, which is filling the trucks and sending the invoice. They even did it for what happens when somebody complains or compliments. Imagine taking that same framework to your organization and having people sit down and map out not what is the process, but where is the perception that people have in working with us, and how well are we doing right now on the scale of criminal, basic, expected, desired, surprising, unbelievable at each point. Please turn to your partner and discuss who in your company would get value from working on this with these 2 simple models. This is just 2 fundamental service principles that never got taught to your kids or to you in school. Talk to your partner. You've got a few moments. Go. Okay? Good. Come on back. What I've shown you so far today is 2 out of 3, 4, 5 principles which are normally taught over a 2-day course, not in a 20-minute talk. I'll send you the slides from this presentation if you'd like, the summary slides afterwards. Esprit will be sending you a link where you can click and download and use these where you work. Why am I sharing this so widely? I'm a man on a mission. And service education wasn't taught to my child, so I've been teaching her. Wasn't taught to my team, I've been teaching them, and probably wasn't taught here in Switzerland either. And that's the foundation. In the middle, we have this area called building blocks. There are 12 of them. They're common practice. That doesn't mean they're best practice. This is where the confusion tends to happen. This is where Singapore Airlines has simply lined the arrows up. This is where Ritz-Carlton does the same thing that you're doing, but they do it in a way that doesn't confuse. Now, the 12 building blocks of uplifting service are not rocket science. But when I studied Apple and Amazon and American Express and Ritz and all of the others, what I noticed is that these were the areas where they'd been very, very thoughtful about how are we going to do that in a way that teaches our staff to give better service. In the book I wrote, there's a chapter on each. On the website where you'll get the link, there's a video for each. There are articles on each. This is not rocket science. It's simply a matter of focusing yourself to produce the right result. I do want to give you one example from one of the building blocks right now. It's the last one. It's actually a Northern European example. There was a factory consultant from California who went to Sweden to do some consulting in a large manufacturing plant. And he was in his hotel room, and his Swedish host came to pick him up so they could drive to the factory to be there in the morning. And because of the snowstorm, the Swede came early. They got in the car. Well, as they drove to the factory, it turns out the plow had just gone by, and so there was no delay. They got to the factory before anyone else. The Swede parked on the farthest point of the parking lot away from the factory, got out, buttoned up, and walked all the way across the parking lot with the Californian going. And when they got inside the factory, the Californian, why did you do that? And the Swede said, do what? He said, why did you park all the way over there? And the Swede said, oh, because we were early. And the Californian said, I know we were early. All the parking spaces were empty near the factory. Why did you park all the way over there? And he said, oh, because we were early, so we had all the time we needed to walk across. But as my colleagues come, because of the snow, later and later and later, they will have less and less time to get inside, so they will need the parking spaces closer to the factory. Doesn't that make sense? So in Switzerland, does that make sense? It's a fundamental change of being that shows up in our thinking, that shows up in our acting. And the change is from what's in it for me to what can I do for you. That's the fundamental shift. And it's a shift that's happening in so many areas of the world, especially in business, where the score used to be, how much do I get? How much do I make? How much do I keep? And it's now changing to, how much do I contribute? How much do I stand for? How much do I give? How much do I make our country, our industry, or our world a better place? That takes us to the issue of leadership and the personal role model that you are. So who said that? I'll give you a hint. Most of your families have at least one of his products. And I wonder, you know, they're coming out with a watch. Not a Swiss watch, it'll be an Apple watch. Very interesting to see. Who said this? There's only one boss, the customer. He can fire everybody in the company by spending his money somewhere else. Hint, he loves to sell things. Built the largest retail organization in the history of the planet. Sam Walton, 1.2 million employees. Who said this? Customer complaints are the school books from which we learn. It was Lou Gertzner. He went from American Express to IBM and turned them around, but not before they had to fire 100,000 people. Who said this? The high destiny of the individual is to serve rather than to rule. Yeah. And who said this one? Shall we make a new rule of life from tonight? To always be a little kinder than necessary. His name was Sir James M. Barrie, and he wrote a play called Peter Pan. Now, I don't know, do people in Switzerland know Peter Pan? Yeah, it's Captain Hook and the Lost Boys and Tinker Bell with her pixie dust. When I was a little boy in grade school, in my local high school, they did the play Peter Pan. And they needed someone to play the role of Michael Darling. Michael Darling was the little boy in the family with the teddy bear, and he flew with Peter. And so the high school went down to the grade school and looked for a little boy with a big mouth. And they chose me. And I learned how to fly and how to share pixie dust and help people feel good. And you know what? I've been doing the same thing now for all of my life, including the pleasure of doing it here today with all of you. So we have one last thing to do together. Did you receive this when you came in the room? Yeah. Would you please reach inside and take out one card? Take out one card. Got it. When I say go, I want you to turn to your partner, give them this card, and say, thank you for being my partner. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Now, hold on. Hold on. Come on back. I need you to be honest. I need you to be honest here. How did you say thank you? Criminal, basic, expected, desired, surprising, or unbelievable? All right. So here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. In just a moment, I'm going to ask you to do something. Then I'll ask you 3 questions and we'll wrap up. In just a moment, I want you to give the card back to your partner. But I want you to do it in a way that is intentionally going to produce for them an experience for them that would be desired, surprising, or unbelievable. Ready? On your mark? Ready? Ready? And go. Woo! Come on back. Come on back. All right. Okay. Here are the last 3 questions. Question 1. When your partner thanked you, could you feel a difference? Yes or no? Did it feel better or worse? Better. Now here's the last question. Did it feel better when they thanked you? Or did you already start feeling better when you were getting ready to thank them? First or second? Second. Big key in life. The moment you commit yourself to doing something more, something nicer, something better for someone else, the first person who gets the benefit is not them. It's people ask me all the time, Ron, where do you get all that energy? I say, I get it from you. I woke up this morning at the hotel and I thought to myself, Esprit 2013, all these wonderful foods. Mwah, 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 mwah. So, please, rub your hands together. Rub, 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 rub. Clap twice. Hands up. Turn to your partner. And now, one more, hands up, turn to your partner, give him a hug. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chris.
Ron, some people are still hugging. I think you've got to tell them to stop now, because I need their full concentration. Well, dear Ron, we've got Coke, Fanta, water, apple, yellow plum, blue plum. Please, go ahead. What would you like?
Well, you choose first.
I'm surprised. Thank you. I'll have the water.
Okay, good.
Now, that was Claudia Cambini. She's a very smart, intelligent, hardworking event manager. Only the best for you, Ron Kaufman. Now, let's talk about Swiss service excellence.
Let's do that.
What do you observe when you come to our country? Are we average? Are we fantastic? Are we below average?
So recall that you're talking to someone born in America, lives in Singapore,
I anticipate a very bad answer now.
and travels constantly. So when I come to Switzerland, I find a country that's absolutely clean, where things work on time, where the physical beauty has been preserved over the years.
That's enough euphemism now, Ron. Please go ahead and tell us how we are.
No, So actually what's interesting then is how you as a Swiss perceive the way that you are, which we can talk about. But to answer your question, I think coming to Switzerland is fabulous, because I know that I'm coming to Switzerland. So being someone who travels as much as I do, I can manage my own expectations, that even though in America I would expect a more exuberant service, or in Asia I would expect a more, if you will, humble service, I know that in Switzerland I'm going to receive Swiss service.
But that means that you're gentle with us because you don't expect more.
It's not a matter of expecting more. I think it's expecting not different. Right? Now, here's the question. What happens when somebody from another part of the world comes to Switzerland? Should they simply do what I'm able to do, which is modify their expectations to be perfectly happy with Swiss service? Or should the Swiss look at that person and say, it's Russian, or they're Chinese, or that's Japanese, or this is an American, and be willing to adapt the service that we provide so that it is more valued by the person who's receiving it?
Interesting, there is a change going on. I saw the charts that you had concerning going to the customer. When we look at the Swiss banking, for example, for years it was just normal that customers would come from all over the world to the bank agent, and that starts to change now. They realize that they have to go to Singapore, for example, to meet their customers. And Swiss products are usually good quality, very good products, but how about the service, and how do you perceive this?
Well, let's look first at the first part of what you said, yeah? The idea that we have to go to where the customer is now to provide the service. Because in a world that is commoditized and globalized, as wonderful as Swiss products are now coming from all over the world. So we saw examples of the Chinese car, for example, catching up with the Japanese car or the German car. And although there will never be anything quite like a Swiss watch, Apple is going to be making watches, and you're going to see transformation occurring in various industries. In the banking industry, if you look at Singapore's success, it's not just because people are going to Singapore instead of going to Switzerland. It's because Singaporean banks are going out into China and India and Indonesia and Malaysia and the Philippines to find the customers and create a banking relationship with them.
Now, what we've seen over the years is that the customer services are much more software-driven. High-tech is a big topic, say data mining and so on. Has this been to the better or to the worse, all these software-driven improvements?
Ooh, when you say for the better or the worse, do you mean for traditional companies or do you mean for the customer?
You pick and choose.
Well, for the customer, it's fantastic, because the customer has greater power today than ever before to hear, what do my friends think about that product? Or where can I arbitrage the price? Or who actually has it in stock for me right now? Or who had a great experience with that product when they had a problem with it? Because problems do happen. So for companies, it's incredibly difficult, because where we used to serve customers across different channels, so this one came to the office, this one's mobile, this one's by web, this one's by telephone, this one's by email. But now it could be the same customer over the course of a 24-hour period who actually touches you on all those points, and very few companies are actually ready to communicate internally So that instead of thinking in terms of silos, they're thinking, hey, we together need to create a great experience for that customer.
But there's even the belief that with the tools, with the analytics and so on, it's possible that a company knows what the customer wants before the customer himself or herself knows that. Mm-hmm. Do you believe in that, and do you think that's dangerous?
Well, Steve Jobs did that with products, right? Where he said we have to give the customers what they don't know that they want. I think with data mining and analytics today, we are able to predict more what would be the next thing that a customer who bought that might want to know. A customer who looked at this might want to learn about, and then proactively reach out to that customer with an offer to say, we notice you're interested in this, would you like to know more about that? Or you did this on the phone with us recently, and now we're sending you the follow-up email without you having asked us for it. And all of that can create a better service experience.
Now, you suggest in order to change something, a company has to employ so-called change agents who can go and, speak to people, change things, and create a self-sustaining service culture. How, in concrete terms, shall a company do this? Shall they say, okay, Ron Kaufman, you stay with us for a year and you just shake up everyone?
Yeah, it's a very good example. Just shaking people up is not a long-term strategy, because then people feel shaken. You need to support them. Yeah? So a good example of what you were talking about now as change agents is that when we work with large organizations and help them take those service principles and teach it to thousands of people, the people who become the course leaders, or the trainers, if you will, it's not the training department. We actually take people operationally from all levels of the company and all departments and have them learn how do these principles apply not only in my department, but in my colleague's department, in the manufacturing department, in the sales department, in the service department. So those people then develop a skill set for applying the principles in real situations. And that's a real change agent. Not just somebody who's motivated, but somebody who can think, how do you apply the principles in all these different situations?
And then you claim that with your principles and with your architecture, with your methodology, a company can quickly create a self-sustaining service excellence. Thinking of my example with a mobile company, what do you mean by quickly?
Well, the change can be made quickly as long as the deployment of the education is done quickly. Unfortunately, many companies look at training their staff or teaching their staff, and they say, well, we have a budget and they get a certain number of hours and everybody is scheduled. But that kind of trickling in of a new way of thinking will not produce a transformation. So if you're looking for what I would call a revolution in thinking about service, then you need to educate people in a model that we call fast and furious.
Fast and furious sounds great. I'd have a lot more questions, but I know the audience is hungry, and I think, thinking of service excellence, we stop here.
So the action that we will take to create value for the audience is we'll stop talking.
You're good in what you're doing. Thank you very much, Ron Kaufman.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.